macro that we're going to see out of DongRaeGu. DongRaeGu doesn't need any more drones. He can just make units for the rest of the game, and he's going to be in pretty good shape.
All right, so the barracks is going to get taken out right here. It looks like by these Hydras, but DongRaeGu is revealing the fact that there is Hydras on the way. I think this is going to buy the little one just a tiny bit of time because there's not any Mutalisks to attack these units. So every unit can attack every other unit for the Zerg player. I said that completely wrong, but basically there's no air units, so the little one can do some damage here. He needs to be very careful. A very tense moment as these are going to be moving out through the center of the map. The Hydra is going to be extremely slow. They do not have any upgrades, but the little one suffering from the same fate. Not having that, he is going to be running into these siege tanks. Can the Hellions buy enough time? Three volleys there from those siege tanks. The Hellions actually chasing this, attempting to do as much damage as possible. One random siege tank in the middle of nowhere gets taken out. Same with his Hellion friend. They should have stuck with the group, as really right now the little one cannot afford to lose these units because his economy is suffering so heavily.
You're absolutely right. He can't afford to lose units, but he did surprisingly well there. He didn't really take any damage aside from those misrallied tank and Hellion. So DongRaeGu, the silly tech switch into Hydra, and he's going to continue committing to it. Spire is going down now, but he's still making Hydras, and I'm not really sure why. Maybe he was expecting some kind of a Banshee switch. It's so hard to say. It was an odd move, but he's still in okay shape. He secured a third base. He's got 12 drones in production, so his economy is going to be just totally kicking butt. But, and TLO, he just has to make something happen here. TLO needs to secure a third base. He needs to do something to kind of bring him. But now, there's that third command center going down. I like this. In the last game, TLO just said, well, I'm never going to expand and hope for the best. Here he is throwing down that third. So if he can get more trades like we just saw, where he doesn't really lose anything and he inches a little bit closer, maybe he can scrape his way back into this game.
And I almost feel like the little one is taking a note out of Goody's book, because Goody loves to go this mech style of play versus the Zerg player. Usually Goody, though, has very good timings and does not do that many Hellions in an attack. But so the little one going to be doing his own build here. We have +1 attack on these Hellions, or it's on the way. Those two Hellions, the second one nearly going down there, trying to find a way to get to the Zerg player's base. He's just trying to keep him in one spot, but is losing more Hellions than he can really afford to right now. And one thing I've noticed about the little one's build is he does not get that blue flame Hellion upgrade.
Yeah.
I don't know what's up with that. It seems like he's hoping to do damage before that would really start to kick in, but I think in the long term it really starts to hurt him, especially, he's going against Hydras, which count as light units.
Yeah, I've been curious about that as well. He's got the gas for it right now. He could start it. Maybe he's just like, well, I need this gas for tanks and Thors. But for what it's worth, that's it's an amazing upgrade. It makes your Hellions 10 times as good. You can end the game with 3 Hellions, whereas with just the Red Flame, it's not quite the same. TLO now finishing that third base. He's going to try to float it, and the question here is DongRaeGu going to punish this? This is a map where it's so hard. Oh, wow, Muta's out. Interesting tech switch, and I feel like DongRaeGu's wanting to get aggressive here.
Yeah, again, we're seeing a pretty healthy unit mix. Just a couple Hydras. He has not made any more of those Hydras. The Hydras do a lot of damage if you can keep them alive. The Siege Tanks are in position to deal with this. So is the Thor, though, and we'll see if this Thor can do enough damage. The SCVs could also assist in this repairing. He is going to repel this attack. The Hydralisk and Roaches taking a lot of damage there, and the little one decides, I'm going to push this army with just the Thors, and he is going to secure this. He was able to land that command center. You can see the Planetary Fortress on the way, but the little one just now getting his third base, while the Zerg player is going to be getting the fourth.
Yeah, things starting to get a little bit interesting here, as with 3 bases, these players are a little bit extra spread out, or TLO is a little bit extra spread out, so it's going to be hard for him to defend both fronts. And we can see, look, DongRaeGu moving around the top half of the map. These Mutas are going to fly into the main. There's only a single Thor here, so if these Mutas catch it and magic box it, they absolutely will kill it. Instead, DongRaeGu is going to focus down these turrets, and that's going to be super effective as well. There's not enough stuff there to really repair it. So big SCV losses. These Mutas are magic box, so the Thor can only hit one at a time. DongRaeGu could easily surround him, and he will. That Thor is getting repaired, so hard to call, but I think, that Thor's definitely going to fall, and DongRaeGu's going to back out, content to do that kind of damage, and then go home. So DongRaeGu just continuing to exert map control, flex this big lead he has, and you know what? He's starting to close in on a max. We're starting to see a very, very similar outcome as to what we saw in the last game.
Yeah, it's 166 supply to 117. The little one, the only difference is that it's going to be that third base is up and running. There's going to be a bunch of transferring drones right now, and the army is looking massive. We do have a lot of Overlords filled to the brim with Roaches and Zerglings, and he's trying to punish the little one for having such slow mech units. There is going to be a couple of Thors here. The little one's army is spread very thin, which may buy him just enough time to hold this up. And here comes right now 3 Thors already in the main base. 4 Thors, so he will be able to do a lot of damage here, trying to focus down the Overlords. It's not going to be able to do that, though, and these Thors are kind of caught a little out of position. He's focusing down the Overlords, needs to be killing the units on the ground, and again, Thors attack so slowly that's not able to kill the Zerglings very quickly. I think, though, that the little one will be able to hold.
You know what? The little one might not die
Oh,
here.
at the natural, or at the third base as well. Looks like the planetary forge is going to go down, so maybe I spoke a tiny too soon.
Yeah, TLO, even if he doesn't outright die, he's taking huge damage with this. And I just want to commend DongRaeGu on being super smart. Oh, that planetary is so close. The SCVs are repairing, but the planetary does fall. These mutas, clumping up a little bit, taking a lot of damage. Thor's getting so many kills there. But now TLO's lost that crucial third base, and he still has units running around in his main, just picking off depots and units and SCVs, and even a tank going to fall here. But DongRaeGu is so smart, recognizing that TLO is using a mech style. What is the weakness of mech? It's immobile.
Right.
So, mutas can punch that a little bit, but Thors do pretty well against mutas. But drop is not something Thors handle very well. Lots and lots of units on the ground. Definitely a weakness to the Thor playstyling. Wow, DongRaeGu is playing so smart, getting so far ahead, and TLO is now in a position where he has to go attack.
Yeah, and you're mentioning that drops being super effective, and on top of that, the fact that he was dropping Zerglings was just so smart. The Thors individually shooting those, plus the Thors out of position. Here comes the final battle in the center. I don't feel like our Terran player, the little one, can hold off here as DongRaeGu has so many units. He is going to delay this push a little bit. SCV is all set to that repair. Going to try and fix up these units as much as possible. This is going to be the last push for the little one. We have 11 Hydralisks being produced, as well as the +2 attack should be done right around when the little one's trying to put on as much pressure as possible. You can see all the Evo chambers right there. So literally the little one has to take out at least 2 bases here, most likely 3, because there's another base up and running down there, or at least up, not necessarily running right here. But is this going to be enough Thors to hold or to kill this massive Zerg army?
Really, really hard to say. TLO has to win the game with this push, though. He's brought up so many SCVs, and he's got no third base. He's got no real economy to fall back on. He's just muling at his natural as hard as he possibly can. This push is looking very scary as the natural of DongRaeGu is almost certainly going to fall here. And meanwhile, DongRaeGu just opting to counter, and I don't know if this is the best move because Terran can just lift. So DongRaeGu, he's gonna stop all mining, but TLO was all in already. So look, every SCV being pulled off the line. If TLO can take out all the hatcheries, DongRaeGu is going to be in this tough position of needing to kill a Terran army that's super, super cost effective and possibly not being in a position to do so.
Yeah, especially with the +2 attack, making these Thors very cost effective. The little one has about 400 minerals to spare on those repairs. And look, this is so smart from the little one. He's splitting up his army as much as possible. Doesn't want to lose these SCVs, sent them to their death as they were set to kind of the move command right here. But the little one, able to take out the natural, is going to be working on this third base as well. He's flying his entire or not really army, but buildings over there. And there is going to be a massive attack. SCV is getting in on this. And so many units from our Zerg players throwing everything he's got at this army. Only 3 Thors are going to remain. There is a couple of siege tanks right there, and that is all that the little one has left. He hasn't been able to take out this base, actually. So while the little one has held off that attack, look at this. Nearly 20 roaches, now 26 roaches being produced at once. I feel like DongRaeGu just bought himself just barely enough time.
Wow, you know what? I thought TLO did so well to come out ahead of that engagement, but critically, TLO didn't take out any of the tech structures that DongRaeGu has, so DongRaeGu is able to just make a bunch of units. And now, TLO doesn't have much army left. He's sitting at 33 supply. DongRaeGu up at 170. So assuming he doesn't just attack from the worst angle imaginable, he should be able to clean up the last of this Terran army.
Got to hand it to the little one, though, for hanging in there as long as he possibly can. There is going to be the GG. Really quick, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the game timer. Thanks, guys, for leaving that feedback to make sure that it is going to be on there. But after that game, the little one, he tried to go for those builds multiple times, and it just didn't work out. So what do you think his idea was going with those builds?
I'm really curious. I would love to know what TLO was thinking, because 3 factory, 4 factory, no add-ons. It's interesting. Obviously he gets those extra factories because he's going to transition into a pure mech style. He'll add those add-ons later. But I don't know that that's the most efficient way to go about it. Obviously he's practiced it. Obviously he's had some success with it. Against the best ZVT in the world, though, I just have a hard time believing that Mass Hellion into mech is going to win, because DongRaeGu, he's incredible. He's literally arguably the best Zerg versus Terran in the world. And, TLO, I don't want to say that, he did anything wrong, but he just wasn't quite doing enough stuff right to really pull those games together and make them even close, to be frank.
Yeah, and I feel if the little one goes against the Zerg player again, I wouldn't be surprised to see him attempt a similar style, simply because you're mentioning that ZVT of DongRaeGu is just crazy good. So a lot of people out there are going to be quick to say, like, oh, that build was horrible, it didn't do anything, why would he do it twice? That build, I feel like there's actually some really good timings in there where, I mean, we saw a drone massacre several times, but DongRaeGu's macro is just absolutely insane, and he was able to take that 2-0, so the little one is going to have, a tough time. I mean, starting in the tournament with a loss is not going to be, a good way to start MLG here. So all the little one fans out there, I'm sorry, but DongRaeGu, I mean, he's showing us why he is one of the top players right now.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? To be fair, TLO, that's his toughest match that he's going to have.
Right.
Well, I say that, but I mean, this is a stacked group, man.
That is true. That is true.
But you know, he should feel a little more confident going into these later games. So I mean, I still expect more good games out of TLO. And I'm super excited to get into our next set.
All right, guys, we are going to go ahead and take a super quick break. If you're just tuning in, that was a 2-0, and there is also another stream out there, so make sure to go ahead and watch both the streams if you get a chance, if you're elite and can hack it that way. I don't know quite how that works. But there is DJ Wheat and Day 9 over there, and the crowd has been going bananas the entire time. And that was for the other stream where there's some epic matchups on there as well.
Man. You know what? I don't know if we're going to have anybody watching us for these next few minutes because the Emperor and Idra about to play over on the red stream, so go check that out, guys. We'll be back in just a minute. Thanks so much for watching. Don't go anywhere.